Procrastination with me, Bonnie Clem. I'm a hypnotherapist and rapid transformational therapy practitioner. Before that, I was an eccentrics stretch coach. If you're not familiar with the program, check it out on PBS under the title Classical Stretch or on the web. And I even have, you go to my YouTube channel, you'll actually see some links there for one of the other great instructors actually put together some intro to eccentrics. So definitely check that out. And that's actually how I ended up deciding to move over into hypnotherapy. Was about 70 to 80% of the blocks that my clients were experiencing had absolutely nothing to do with their physical body. It was all, as soon as their conscious mind kicked in, they go, oh, I can't. And the words you tell yourself are the most important words you'll ever hear. Now, words matter. They do. I always joke there's a big difference between the crazy hot chick and the crazy hot chick. But it's true. It matters. But as for today, we're going to be moving on to the second chapter of my book, That's Not Me, I'm Not a Procrastinator. And you can go ahead, if you haven't already, in case you missed out, I want you to go back to clearingyourbox.com/books and download the first chapter. And this part 2 is also available, and that's where we're going to, chapter 2, part 1 is actually what we're going to be reviewing today for the next hour or so. And we'll have some questions. And then we will go ahead and as people have questions after our sections, raise your hand and we'll go through them. I want to make it a little simple. I did not get the section out ahead of time. A lot of times I don't have the, I'm not able to do that. So that's why rather than doing the entire chapter, we're just doing a portion of it because it's not meant to be done in one sitting. It is a ton of inner work to do and it's not hard, but it can be very emotional. And I want you to be able to go through the entire process comfortably, like reasonably comfortably. There's always that discomfort of making the unfamiliar, which is productivity, familiar. And what's familiar currently is your procrastination, make that unfamiliar. So as we're going through that change, there's going to be a bit of a transition period where that's kind of rocky. And that's one of the reasons why I want you to listen to the audio recording that I will be actually doing at the end of the session. And it's also posted also on my YouTube channel and on the website, clearingyourbox.com. I have it under, because it is companion piece to the book, is also in the book section. You can find it there. So Overcoming Procrastination Meditation. And it's great. I love this wonderful visual that just, it's like, it reminds me of light at the end of the tunnel. And for me, that's just kind of how I felt once I started busting through the procrastination wall and actually seeing huge, major breakthroughs in my life, personally, professionally, and just, every 6 months, I go, wow. I look back and see where I was. Another thing we're going to be doing is later in the series. I'm here every Thursday, 8 p.m. I may start to do a little bit earlier so I can get the tapes out, the recordings out a little bit earlier in the day, because it does take, unfortunately, like 3 to 4 hours to even post like a non-edited version out to YouTube, because it just takes that long to post it to YouTube with the review process. It is what it is. So let me see, I want to make sure that I'm not getting anyone is trying to log in and not able to do that. Let me see, getting messages. Okay, yeah, let me send this link. Not everyone saw that I'm going to be doing this on Zoom going forward, because Facebook Live, where I'm at, unfortunately, does not really allow for great streaming experience just because I am, a lovely place right off the river by a wooded area. You have a mangrove island behind me, but it also does not. We also are in a community that's built in the 80s before fiber optic, and they will be updating that next year. But for right now, we are literally in last century's technology still when it comes to the internet. So that's why the visual and video and audio are not as great as I'd love to be. But hey, we're here. The information is the same, and we are moving forward. We work with what we have, right? You can't wait for everything to be perfect, which is where I came from. I was a procrastinator. I was a perfectionist before I was a procrastinator. And if you wait to be perfect, you're never going to get anything done. You're going to turn into the master procrastinator, and we do not want that. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started on chapter 2. It's awareness. As that's not me. I'm not a procrastinator. As again, is the name of that book. So the first step in overcoming procrastination is developing an awareness that the procrastination is actually a problem. We like to joke about it. Your mind may be telling you those cute little lies about why procrastination is good. Things like, oh, it's okay. It's not that bad. It's not that big of a deal. But it is. It's affecting your life. And you know that. You know that in your own heart. Otherwise, you would not be here today listening to this broadcast. And there is, I'll tell you, one particular point in time where you do actually maybe want to procrastinate. Yes, I did say it is okay to procrastinate, but in context and for a very limited time frame. When you're working on a project that requires a high level of creativity, you're actually going to be more productive if you give the creative juices a little bit of time to marinate, to sit on it, to think about it, to go, okay, before you just hop into a project where you actually let your mind kind of lay out a process. I have a lot of, because I've written several books. I have friends that ask me, oh, I'd like to write a book. Where I start, I always tell them, start with an outline. And they go, really? I'm like, yes, because as these thoughts are coming up, as these ideas are coming in, you're able to immediately drop them into that particular section in whatever way you're doing it. If you're doing audio files and then have it transcribed through Otter.ai, I know a ton of authors who do it that way. Or if you're just, different Word files, or if you're using Scrivener or whatever tools you're using, if you have that outline already laid out, it makes things a whole lot easier. And so from a creative standpoint, while you're working on, you're actually keeping your conscious mind busy, laying out that outline, which means that once you have it laid out, your subconscious has been percolating and thinking everything below that liminal, their subliminal, which is what we're not aware of. We have to use techniques to get into the subliminal. We have to shut down your conscious mind. You can use automatic writing like we do in this process, or like RTT or hypnotherapy session. You use obviously hypnosis. Those are the most popular ones, or anything you're doing to distract. I know controlled remote viewers, they actually like stand up and they do a lot of physical activity to distract like the physical and mental mind, to keep it occupied, keep that executive part of your brain occupied so you can tap into the collective subconscious. And so this isn't any different from that. What we want to do is get into your subconscious, because these habits, these thought forms that have been created, they're not living in your conscious mind. They're living in your subconscious. So we need to get into that lower level, get below that liminal, and go ahead. And that's the only way you can truly have lasting change, because willpower only gets you so far. But if you have these thought forms that are very practiced and are very strong, those thought forms, you don't have control of them once they're in your subconscious. You really don't. It's why maybe you'll have like a weird reaction when there's something new. So you're just like, for me, when I feel like someone's trying to gaslight me, I just like have this like very visceral reaction. And that's because I grew up and I had certain people in my life chronically gaslighted me. And I just like, and I ended up just spending a lot of my childhood saying, oh, I can't see. I cannot see how that works. I just can't see it. I just can't see it. And yeah, it's no wonder I'm nearsighted. You can't tell I'm wearing my contacts right now, but I literally can see about this far from my face without without prescription. And I'm sure 100% convinced a lot of it had to do because if you tell yourself you can't see for 30, 40 decades, well, you're never going to be able to see. And that's just one example of just the power of suggestion. Back to, letting those creative juices flow. The longer you procrastinate, the least creative you become. So you're going to lose focus and your mind will wander too far from the subject at hand. So be wary, set a deadline and alarm and stick to it. For me, I like to do 50 minutes. Even if I try to do an hour, my mind starts to wander about 50 minutes. And that's just as much as I can do on any one dedicated project without a break. So actually, I'm going to be loading at some time in the next little bit, actually a little short article that I wrote maybe 10, 15 years ago about the 50-minute practice. So I'm going to be loading that, and I may rewrite it. So I'm not sure exactly how long it's going to take me. I haven't read it from an editorial standpoint in about 12 years or so at least. So we'll see how long it takes me to get that in shape to get it published and out for you guys. But I'm going to publish that. I'm also going to do put out on the website clearingyourblocks.com/resources. I'm going to have a weekly planner template, a 5-day template, and a 7-day template, and the 50-minute. The article I was referencing earlier does talk you through the process of how to use those templates efficiently. And it's something you should be doing every day is before you go to bed, write down the top things that you need to do and prioritize your top 3. So then when you wake up in the morning, you already know where you need to go, where you're going to put your time. There's no guessing. If you don't know where you're going by the time you wake up, you're behind. It's just the way it just is. You need to know where you're going before, I'm starting to be a helicopter pilot. I do have a few hours in, enough to know that I know where I'm going before I ever go anywhere near the cockpit. I've mapped out where I'm going before I even think about that. And that's what you should do every single day. Have that rough outline. Yeah, you may have to change plans. Air traffic control may say, oh, you have to wait, you have to circle again, or whatever you need to do. Okay, fine. Yes, life happens, but you have to have that master plan in place in order to be efficient. And it really does help with procrastination because it keeps you from getting stuck in a rut of like bad habits, which is super great. But the fact that you're here and the fact that you are actually aware of the fact that procrastination is a problem and you're willing to work towards overcoming procrastination, I want to give you your kudos. Congratulations to you for showing up. That's so, you don't understand how important so many people live their entire lives never, ever moving past the shoulda, coulda, woulda stage. And don't be that person. I'm here for you. Reach out, message me. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter. not necessarily more than once a day or so, but I will see those messages and I will reach out to you. Email me. I check that throughout the day. So it's Bonnie at clearingyourblocks.com. Info@clearingyourblocks.com is going to probably get answered a little bit faster just because I do have an assistant looking at those also. So those things get flagged, especially if I'm not available. So that's usually the best email. But first, and also setting up appointments and doing any, if it questions about the webinar, questions about what steps next, questions about the practices, reach out. And I love your feedback because I'm here to make it better. My job in life is to ensure that as many people as possible move up to the fifth dimension as quickly as possible. All right, so what does that mean? It means that I want you to age younger and live more. The ways to do that, you're removing physical blocks, you're eating healthier, you have the information, you have the techniques, you know how to overcome procrastination to live more. You're going to have such a more fulfilling life and such a fuller life once you overcome this procrastination. And that's my purpose in life, is to help everyone do more, live better, age younger. I'm turning 51 in a couple weeks, and I have more energy than I did as a teenager because I ate crap. I'm 100% certain the reason why I felt like crap when I was a teenager and didn't have a ton of energy was because I basically lived on pizza and pasta. I did. I don't think I'm unusual for a teenager, but that's when you should have more energy. Now that I'm older, I wake up and I go. I'm up until 4 a.m, up at 9:30, and it's like, okay, go. Take a nap in the afternoon. I'm like, okay, go. I'm a go all the time. Forever working on so many projects. It's just to have the energy to do that. It's just absolutely amazing. So what I'm looking for. Now, this webinar is about 90 minutes, but for your daily practice, going through the book yourself, I want you to just take 30 minutes. Do the short meditation, which I think is about 30 minutes, and then, spend another 20 minutes, just 15, 20 minutes, just reading through a few pages and taking your time to really do the practices. Don't rush. And, if you're thinking right now, well, I don't think I have 30 minutes to put into the effort of overcoming procrastination. Well, I want you to hop over at the end of this webinar to clearingyourblocks.com, go ahead /books, go ahead and download the chapter 2, part 1. And actually that's not there. So future shock practice is going to be coming up. So I'm actually going to load that separately. So I'm going to actually I will load the future shock practice onto that page by about 10 p.m. So it should be there by the time anyone has a chance to look. So if you're not certain if you want to go, not certain you're ready, 100% ready, go ahead and do the future shock practice and then come back to me and decide whether or not those are the answers you want to give your future self. And, just keep in mind, when you first start to work out, starting a new exercise routine, you're going to feel some discomfort during or after the exercise. Unless there's actual physical stabbing pain, that's normal. The discomfort is it's not dangerous. It's not harmful. It's just temporary, getting your body used to a different mode. Eventually your body starts to produce more endorphins, your muscles are stronger, you're able to actually physically do the workout And it only takes a week, 2 weeks the most to see like huge, massive changes in your physical body. And then that slight little discomfort is just overridden so quickly that in 2-3 weeks you're not even going to notice. You're not going to think about it, and you're going to be in a state of flow more often than not. And you're even going to be looking forward to the outcomes and the increased changes in your workouts. You're going to see your body change. Go, wow, okay, that didn't take that long. This is the same when you're starting the process of overcoming procrastination. There's a period of time when the discomfort unknown is temporarily greater than the benefits. But your ultimate goal, again, is to make the procrastination, unfamiliar, and unfamiliar, living productively familiar. You just have to keep going long enough for the unfamiliar and the familiar to swap places. And this discomfort, is largely the reason why changing any habit using only willpower, can be so frustratingly difficult. And those two words, keep going, you're going to see over and over and over and over and over again. And yes, it is a little NLP plant, put in your brain, put that seed in your brain, just keep going. It's 30 minutes. It's not even like one TV episode. It's barely, not even enough time out. It takes me longer to prepare, feed all my animals dinner. It's not that much time. Just take that time for yourself, for a little bit of self-care. And so I have a really great argument about why you should keep going. And I want to introduce you to this concept of an energetic checkbook. Now, I learned this from the brilliant Dr. Bruce Lipton. You're probably familiar with him. He is actually the father of epigenetics, but basically that father of epigenetics, he actually wrote, let me grab this, the self-published The Biology of Belief back in the day, 10 years, was it only 10 years ago? Yeah, 10 years ago to 11 years ago now, about, you can turn on and turn off genes in yourself, because part of your environment, part of what affects your genes, or a large portion of it, is your mental environment. I've also heard described as your mental hygiene. I think Gene Houston, Dr. Gene Houston, was the one that always describes it as your mental hygiene. What are the thoughts you're thinking? But so the energetic checkbook that Dr. Bruce Lipton uses is an illustration to explain one of the most often understood natural laws. And this is the law of natural attraction. Now, I know you may be thinking, what does all this woo-woo stuff have to do with overcoming procrastination? Well, in a nutshell, everything. To further illustrate this fact, I'm going to refer you to another one of my mentor, Marissa Peer's rules of the mind. What you focus on, you receive more of. And we all know this is true. We've all experienced this, right? When you're in a negative spiral going, oh, blah, 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 that sucks, you're going to attract more negative to you. But when you're in a good mood, you're going to see like rainbows and happy children, and everyone's going to treat you better, and end up like, end up with freebies, just because the universe rewards what you ask for. Like, it just gives you what you ask for. It's very simple. So when I'm referring to the law of attraction, I'm using this definition as what you focus on, you receive more of. That's what I'm referring to, because when you realize that money is a currency, and money is the modality we utilize to create freedom. So money is the currency that we utilize to create freedom. So understanding in that perspective, because there's a reason why they say, oh, you find your passion and the money will follow. That's why. That's, how, and looking from a procrastination standpoint, the law of attraction affects our energy stores because we're stuck, where we don't have access to that energy. It's basically, might as well be buried, or like, in the sunken ship, with like no access to it. It's not useful. Money is the equivalent of energy, and you can buy energy if you put your thoughts behind things that enhance your life rather than wasting your time and energy, aka procrastinating. Because the number one thing that procrastination does energetically is it drains your energetic checkbook. So creating positive momentum, even tiny baby steps, like I said, keep going, adds to your energetic checkbook. Every small step you take toward achieving your goals puts you that much closer to achieving them. Once you reach a certain level of energetic wealth, when you swap the damaging yet familiar and energizing but unfamiliar habits, your energetic money will start to work for you. This is, something that every old money, wealthy family who's maintained, and grown their wealth throughout the generations understands. They understand this concept like intuitively because they've been taught it, and they stick to it, and they know it works. And when I was a young, very naive teenager, I didn't understand the power of the law of attraction. Even though one of my happiest childhood memories was sitting around, on a rainy Sunday afternoon, listening to Neville Goddard records with my old money friends, and I'm actually currently, you have it? Oh yeah, Neville Goddard. If you're religious, if you're a Christian, you're interested in scripture, you want to know how to use the power of momentum, the law of attraction, and scripture, anything by Neville Goddard will help you. I'm going to be doing actually a series on Neville Goddard, hopefully end of 2023, but I also have a book that I want to finish first. I am working on actually photographic proof, which is a story about MK Ultra survivor who went into a hypnotherapy session and had a ton of recovered memories. So she goes back actually to town where she grew up and hunts down all the information she can about the program, and actually discovers quite a bit we're able to bring out to the public. And that's actually based on, it's a fiction, but it is a compilation of stories from many MK Ultra survivors that I know personally and have interviewed, and in order to protect certain people's privacies, they've asked me to actually make it into fiction. So it actually works because I'm actually to blend and bring like a larger perspective of projects that were not necessarily called MK Ultra or under that larger umbrella, but were still CIA or FBI or any of the alphabet, agencies, mind control programs. It's like, so just as using that as an overall bucket where I'm able to bring like all of these experiences in, because they're they're connected in that way, where these are things that were done to people knowingly or unknowingly. Mostly they may have had some concept of what the experiments were going to be about, not necessarily. And bringing this information to light, I think, is very important with things that are going on, and I can't imagine the timing be any better. So that's going to be my major focus for my next book. And after that, I'm going to be doing another in this series of That's Not Me. It's going to be That's Not Me, I'm Not a Smoker. So looking forward to that one. To go on back to the concept of the energetic checkbook. There's I wish I had, it would save me decades of pain and suffering, which is another reason why I'm sharing this information with you for free. If I can keep one person from wasting another minute of their life stuck in the downward spiral of procrastination, all the time and effort I put into these webinars and the book and the meditations and all the other resources out there, it's totally worth it. All the practices that I'm making available, and another thing that's worth it in the long run, speaking of things, another significant thing about understanding that money is energy and therefore the key to freedom is that if you're frugal and take care of your energetic bank account, it will always grow. With one caveat, you have to keep it balanced. That old maxim, all things in moderation, is an evergreen concept for a reason. Just a little side note here, keeping your energetic checkbook in balance is way more easily accomplished if you are in good health. And for this reason, when I'm working with clients, I a lot of times will suggest we remove any physical blocks that they have. Like if you're working on, they also have a smoking or drinking issue, like look at that first before we look into the procrastination, because those bad habits are contributing to the procrastination habit. And when you're looking at things that are, many times, if you're looking at something that started decades ago, it could be an onion with multiple layers. I joke that RTT session it's like peeling onions for enough for a wedding. There's tons of crying involved and lots of layers, and but in the end, it's like a happy event. It's you have to go through that emotional catharsis in order to have that understanding to, get to that wow moment where you're like, wow, okay, now I get why I had this idea. Yeah, it totally made sense when I was 3 that I would have thought that was useful, or I reacted in this particular way when I was 7. Okay, yeah, or I assumed my parents said that when they really meant then, because I was, 4 and I didn't understand sarcasm. My dad was a king of sarcasm, and when you're a kid, you don't understand sarcasm. You think everything they say is serious. You understand that they're joking. You don't. And you take things to heart because you're like, oh, why would you ever say that? But you don't understand this is a joke. You don't get the adult jokes when you're a kid. And a lot of times those adult jokes that you don't get, they get stuck in the subconscious and they cause problems. Now, but when you're wasting your energetic money by procrastinating, you're actually interfering not only with your happiness and the ease with which you go through life, but even with your very own survival. Excluding addictions, there are very few things that are more destructive to your health and well-being than being an expert in the art of procrastination. So every time you procrastinate, you drain yourself of energy. The law of attraction states that we draw to us what we focus on. And what you are telling the infinite intelligence, which manages this process when you procrastinate, is, now get out your notebook. I have mine right here. This is mine from Teal Swan that I've been using. And if you don't have one, you should have a few. I get these from Dollar Tree. They have all kinds of, versions all the time. They have cute ones coming out all the time. $1.25, no excuses. Go ahead and I want you to write this essay. I don't want, fill in the blank with the goal that brought you here today. All right, so let's do that. I don't want. And what's keeping you stuck? What's the thing that you want? All right. And I'll cross out that don't. That. Say, I want. Your goal. This is your goal. So I want to inspire people to age younger and live more. That's my goal. What's yours? What's your motivation? And speaking of motivation, if you don't know what your ultimate life purpose is, I know it sounds cliche, and I'm thinking Go Rich. If you're looking at most gurus, you're looking, I'm actually doing Tony Robbins is every January. He does a free 5-day event. I'm in the middle of that right now, but he takes a lot of it. It's the same concept, not repackaged, but he goes deep in her. He does a lot of NLP that I can tell, and the stories, the breakthroughs that he does, but the concepts are evergreen. And oh yeah, most importantly, do the workbook. Reading Think and Grow Rich isn't going to get you anywhere. Do the workbook. Do the self-care. I'm not going to call it work. Just like I don't call the practices in these webinars in my book, I don't call them exercises. They're practices, because you're practicing being productive. You spend enough time practicing being a procrastinator. It's time to practice being productive. And these, Napoleon Hill, those resources will definitely help you get focused and take the time to go through it. I mean, it took me, last time I went through it, about 3 months, like literally that much time, because they're meant to be studied, and it's meant to, it's a process in itself. It's every second, you want to remember this is important. Every second you procrastinate, you're working against your own self-interest. Let me say that again. Every second you procrastinate, you are working against your own self-interest. Look at it from this perspective. Unless you want to be broke and broken to sweet, that means just about now very quickly, if you're not familiar with the French slang, you don't go around throwing away your money. What I'm referring to when we're talking actually about this term broken is a reference to our biological system, our body. All of our cells rely on energy, and without energy, we'd be dead. Fundamentally, you have an energy budget that gives you life. So that energetic checkbook is not just your mental energy to have the mental capability, it's the capacity to do things. It's also your physical capability to do what you need to do, to power through, to finish a project, to even physically, if it's a physical goal, to reach it. So one of the most important questions you can ask yourself is, how do you use your energy? And all right, let's write that down. How are you currently using your energy? I'll give you a minute or two right now. How are you using your energy right now? Not how you want to. We're going to answer that in a minute. Right now, how are you using your energy? So for me, I'm using my energy towards finishing writing projects. I'm working my energy towards getting the tens of thousands of pages of documents I have seen in my Google Drive, not helping anyone, out onto my website, which is just a massive undertaking because as I'm going through it, most of it is not edited, it's organized, but not edited. And editing, if anyone's ever written and done any amount of writing professionally, you know that editing takes the longest time, is also the hardest part and the least fun part. So I did all the fun stuff. Now I'm kind of stuck with like garbage stuff, but this is important. So, I stick at it pretty much. My goal is to do every day, but I've had actually my laptop died like 2 days ago, so I've just been struggling borrowing technology to get through. So I'll get back on track. Um, you know, I said life happens, but once that I'm like, well, I have no choice other than to get caught up, you know, and just keep going and do that makeup time. Do the makeup. Don't let yourself fall behind. You'll have punishments for yourself if you don't do what you're supposed to do. You don't get to go, hang out with friends on Friday night, or like you if you don't finish your goals. You have to have that discipline, that little bit of discipline to ensure just to keep yourself on track sometimes. And once you start doing just the few little practices, once you start creating that forward momentum, it just makes life so much easier. And you get into the flow, and it keeps going. And before you know it, you're like, wow, I wrote all that. Wow, that was actually not so hard. That was actually how many pages? Wow, I did like how many pages? It's like, oh, that's cool. All right, so now that we've done how do you use your energy, this is what we want to do. We want to do some future pacing here. And again, with automatic rating, don't think about it. Just go. How do you want to use your energy? And before we get started, it's not, I don't want to procrastinate. You cannot use the negative. You have to have everything turned around to be positive. It has to be, say, I will work daily on my projects. I will write for 30 minutes every day. I will post or edit one article to prep for my website. I will do 30 sit-ups every day. What is your life going to look like is life without the problem? Is what we're looking at. Life without procrastination. What does your life look like without procrastination? So give you a little bit more time. You remember, no negatives allowed. Up your hand if you even dare think about putting negatives in there, okay? Oh yeah, hi Sassy just came in, so don't mind my puppy Sassy. This is that's her bed behind me. So all right. How do you want to use your energy? And hiked up, yay, go. All right, 2 more minutes. Are you doing all positive? Checking in on you. If you accidentally did any negatives, go ahead and rewrite those right now. Okay. Review and rewrite anything that you may have slipped out that was not positive. Okay. All right, 1 more minute. And remember, you always come back to this. You can add to it at the end of the webinar. You know, hang on to this, rewatch the webinar, and go through the exercises again if you want to reinforce if you found this particularly useful. And hang on to those answers because you will need, you will need these answers going forward. We're going to be working on them, even expanding on these ideas and refining them in the next couple chapters as we go ahead and we build your own, very own customized bespoke transformational recording just for you. All right. Ready to move on. Just one important factor for you to consider. 25% of the total energy in your whole body is used to operate your brain. Given that information, you can start to recognize, understand, and comprehend that the brain uses energy at the same rate as a marathon runner. That's how much it consumes. The amount of energy a marathon uses their muscles, which is, if anyone's ever, I was a runner, never did a marathon, but I ran distance at a cross country, all the way through from grade school about the age of 10 until all the way through my senior year in high school. So very familiar with that, knowing how much energy that takes, hence the eating the pizza and pasta by myself, But brain and muscle activity on an energetic level are pretty much the same. When you use your brain, you're thinking, you're actually using energy. So why is this relevant? The way we've been using our brain, essentially our thoughts, as our energy as a procrastinator is, it's not productive, right? In the case of procrastination, is not only a negative energetic investment, but it's hugely counterproductive. You're actually working against yourself. Again, you're working against yourself. Procrastination not only uses up energy, but those faulty thoughts create a stagnant reality that we then have to overcome. That rut gets deeper. The habit gets more ingrained, the negative habit of doing nothing. And this is why I dedicate an entire chapter to the idea of awareness. Chapter 2 this is part 1 of chapter 2, because there's so much in just the awareness that will help you overcome your procrastination, just in becoming aware of these things, that I just want to give you all the information you have, so no excuses, not allowed to have excuses. To successfully use the law of attraction to reach our goals, we must first become aware of our thoughts and adjust them accordingly. Now remember, thoughts represent units of energy, and every time you have a thought, you use energy. And back to that, concept of the energetic checkbook. You don't go down the street and just write checks to random people. You don't just give away your money willy-nilly. You don't just sell random people. Right? No. Why? Because giving away your money, giving away your energy, is giving away your life force, your freedom, to be whoever and to do whatever you want, whatever you choose. You need to begin treating your thoughts as part of that life force. This is something procrastinators don't do because they, it's been shown that when people become frugal, when they have a checkbook in their hand, become very frugal because they see, if you write down the register, old school register, I go, oh, yeah, you can see, you have to do them. You have to see the deduction. It's painful. You see it. And so what you need to begin to do now is to gain the awareness that each and every one of us has an energetic budget that keeps us alive. When you overspend, or in the case of procrastination, you overdraw your energetic bank account, you're quickly dropped into a negative deficit spiral. The more you waste your energy procrastinating, the more overdrawn your energetic checkbook becomes, and this process spirals out of control quickly. Like if you ever had an issue and one overdraft and everything's overdrafted, the next thing you know, you're like 200. You're like, how did I get $200 like in the hole? It's like this, like I missed one thing, and then I'm like, oh God, yeah, now I have a hole. One thing that Dr. Lipton pointed out to many times, including in the biology of beliefs, that book I showed you earlier, our thoughts create a reality. And he's one of the very few early scientists that, when scientists, at least of the century, that have actually said it. If you invest in counterproductive thoughts, aka procrastination, and the beliefs that create your procrastination, you will continue to create an untenable reality. You're actually not just wasting your own energy on things that don't matter, but what's even worse is these negative thoughts are what come into your reality. What you focus on, again, law of attraction, your thoughts, your brain will manifest into reality. The universe will work towards manifesting the things that you don't want. So again, this is the same law of attraction process in play, when we pray, actually. And, I'm assuming you don't pray for the things that you don't want, right? No, you don't. So why would you focus on what's working? Why would you use that mental prayer, the mental focus, on what you don't want? So when you focus on the reason why procrastination is theoretically more beneficial than actually doing what will bring you closer to your goal, you bring more of that stuckness into your life. The hole, you make that rut deeper, the hole deeper to dig out. The more you practice procrastination, the more your mind converts that stuckness into reality. What you need to do instead is to become extremely frugal with your energetic money, with your thoughts. Spend your energy money smartly. That's your mental energy. Spend it smartly. All right. So yeah, I know a couple pages ago I mentioned that it's not necessary to spend a ton of energy to overcome procrastination. Yes, true. But the problem with the energetic checkbook is it's a shared account. Yeah, both your conscious and your subconscious use it. It's like, have you ever been on vacation with someone who, is your best frenemy? And you have to share, a bathroom? That's what it's like. Your subconscious is the frenemy. It's that person or that relative who never quite carries their weight, never has cash for anything. Yeah, that's your subconscious mind. So even when using all the willpower in the world, you can't keep your subconscious mind from defaulting to its natural state. Your subconscious loves to do things without thinking. Just consider all of the automatic processes it controls. I mean, how many times a day do you think about making your heart beat or ensuring your digestive system is digesting? Never, right? But that's how your subconscious operates. Once it has a pattern in place, it's going to continue to do the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again until an outside force disrupts the pattern. And that's what you're doing to the automatic habit of procrastination with the process in this book and in this webinar. We're creating a pattern disruption. You will disrupt the current defective thought form or belief and replace it with an upgraded and appropriate one. You want your subconscious to be working for you, not acting as an expensive, energetic money pit. Everything you do in your life consumes energy, remember? So start to review what you're doing in your life. Just keep that in the back of your mind. Think about it. Because if you're putting your energy into things you cannot change in this world, that is exactly the same as signing a blank check and handing it to a criminal. Might as well hand over your entire Bitcoin, address. It's just like, here, have my money, have my entire wallet. Here's my, here's my recovery phrase. Great, yeah. You're just throwing away your money because you get nothing back from it. So I want you to approach life as if every thought had to pass through your energetic checkbook. Now imagine how much more efficiently you live your life if every time you had a thought, you asked yourself these three questions. Is the use of this energy going to enhance my life? Is it working against my ultimate life purpose? Is it wasted energy? Again, and I'll put this up on the screen here, is the use of this energy going to enhance my life? Is it going to make it better or worse in the long run? Short term, a lot of times that can be argued, but long term is what we want. Is it working against my ultimate life purpose? Again, if you don't know where it is, you need to do the process, this process, Think and Grow Rich workbook, to get you to that understanding, to get that narrowed down to know where you're going. And it's a wasted energy. You don't want to waste energy. That's the most important thing, is to keep your energy going. So, let's do this little thought experiment. Think of a time now where you procrastinated. Now I want you to write down in detail how it affected your energetic checkbook. So I just want to write down, so first of all, just a little one-word synopsis. Say, okay, I procrastinated when I was applying for that position for, buyer back years ago. So I procrastinated doing that. Okay, and how did it affect my energetic checkbook? Okay, go ahead and answer those two questions. And this can be a short answer, doesn't have to be a very long answer. We're going to go more detail later into the process. So next question for you is, did procrastination enhance your life? Did procrastinating in this particular incident, did it enhance your life? And you know the answer is obviously no. I mean, unless you're lying to yourself, then yeah. But the answer is no. All right. So now write down, answer this question. How did procrastination hurt me? How did it harm me? What did procrastinating that particular incident, what did it take away from me? What did I miss out on? What would I have had if I had moved forward? And what did I miss out by procrastinating? So answer this question. We give you a couple minutes to go ahead and really future page to look at it and be brutally honest. It's okay. No one's going to see this notebook except for you. Again, writing it out does actually how to put it in your subconscious. It reaches your subconscious. So go ahead and admit to yourself what you missed out on. Okay. I'll wait here. Just another minute. Your last question is, what did I miss out on by procrastinating? And if you're missed anything or you want to review it, go through when I post the webinar up on YouTube. I'm actually going to learn a new skill tonight. I'm going to figure out how to actually post those questions up here. So they're going to be probably somewhere in this area. I don't know, whatever looks best, but I will actually be posting the questions up there in a text form once I learn how to do that. So in the webinar, they will actually be in the recording. They will actually be there. So you don't have to worry about ever missing anything. If you're going to go through the webinar again with the replay, you're always going to have that information there. Okay. All right. So you had questions about here, going to Q&A now. That's all we have time for as far as the practices. We did a little bit as far as we're laying the groundwork towards what we're going to be working on the next couple chapters. In the identification, we're just building on it, and we're prepping your mind for where we're going, working through the process where we're going to build on this. So do go through things in order. So if you haven't gone and done the first chapter, go back and watch that first. It's not as critical just because there's a little bit more of an intro last week. So the first week was just more getting started. But going forward, you really want to watch things in order. So if you have to, go ahead and wait for the replay before you go ahead and do the next exercises, or the go through it on the paper by yourself, and have the so I usually have the section posted that we're going to be working on the day before today, because I had the little computer issue, or lacking computer issue that I did not get posted until just a couple hours before going live, but that's not the norm. So we don't have to worry about that going forward. You're always going to have those resources where you can read through ahead of time, in the normal situation. So let's see what else we have questions. Well, epigenetics. So let me grab that book. Where did I put it? I put it here. Oh, here. I have so many resources. So I'm going to go into, I don't want to go really deep into epigenetics. I'm going to do an entire webinar just in epigenetics. That could be many, many, many webinars in epigenetics, but basically, the environment influences the behavior of cells without changing the genetic code. I mean, there's no way that doesn't happen. So just looking through, grabbing the intro here and a few things that I had highlighted, those things that Dr. Bruce Lipton had discovered were things that, we're not victims of our genes, but masters of our fates, able to create lives overflowing with peace, happiness, and love. Epigenetics is the study of the molecular mechanism by which the environment controls gene activity. Now and again, as we discussed, environment is the mental environment. The basic point of epigenetics, before I move on, is there's no such thing as genetic determinism as far as you are born with this genetic blueprint, but that's not your fate. If it was, every single woman with a BRCA gene would have breast cancer, which we obviously and thankfully know is not true. So that's that. Have any other questions that I think need to be addressed? Yeah, the websites you have info, always the same. I'm also on Twitter at Hypnotist Bonnie, and I do post links and everything, updates there. A little bit of fun. I'm a little more political there, so I'm a whole person. I don't separate my life. Just an awareness to give you. I think it's about time. Let's move into. We're going to be doing the same overcoming procrastination meditation we did last week. And the reason why we're doing that, why it's not changing, is that you want to do the same meditation for, I say 22 days. Like when I do my RT2 sessions, it's the session date plus 3 weeks to ensure that habit, those new habits have had time to form. And you need to, if you change it any sooner, you're just going to confuse your mind and you're actually going to break the new habit. We do not want that, right? We want to create a productive habit, right? The habit of productivity, right? So we're going to keep on keeping on, keep going. We're going to keep going with the same meditation for, so this is week 1, we're on week 2. So, and then week 3, and then after that, I will have a new one or one to change. We can either, I may not change it depending on where we are in the book at that particular point in time. I may stick with this for another week or so, but after 3 weeks, I evaluate just like all the aftercare that I do. And this one of the things that a lot of people say to me, as the question they asked about hypnotherapy or hypnotism is, oh, well, it didn't stick. And I asked, well, did your hypnotist do any aftercare? And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, you need to follow through to make sure that it makes sense. You have to have that. That's why I give you audio recordings. And when you do a session, you do a customized bespoke one, just like you're creating for yourself in this process. I follow up 24 hours the next day. I follow up, another 2 days later. I follow up in a week. Say, okay, do you have any questions? Where have you been? How are you making progress? And Because sometimes, it's a slow burn where you don't really see the difference. Sometimes you see it immediately, but oftentimes it's something that you only see, in hindsight, where you go, oh, I'm not doing that as much. Oh, I'm doing this instead. Oh, okay. Yeah. The small wins a lot of times are things that you may not necessarily see unless, someone else is pointing it out or actually, taking you through those questions going, oh, what are the differences you're noticing? And that's one of the reasons why I do highly, 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 highly recommend journaling when you're going through the process. And I will cover that a little bit later. Actually, we're going to be doing the journey journal actually at the end of the book. So once you have your meditation put together, I want you to do your journey journal. And so you can map your own progress and see how you do for this 22 days. All right. But for now, let's get started. For the next few minutes, all you need to do is relax and listen. Just make yourself comfortable by sitting in an open position with your hands and feet not quite touching. Start by taking a few deep breaths to relax and release any tension you may be holding in your body. Picture your breath coming into and out of the area around your heart. Picturing your heart breathing the life and love into yourself and back out into the torus, the energy field that surrounds and grounds you. As you breathe through your heart, you may feel a sense of calmness or euphoria come upon you, or even just a deep sense of relaxation and concentration and connection. Whatever you feel at this moment is correct. It is the positive emotion you need to feel to prepare yourself for this transformation. So now breathe in once again and out. And when you take your next breath, with your chin remaining level, look up just as high as you possibly can, as if you are looking up into your own eyebrows while you continue breathing slowly. Hold your eyes there, focusing on a real or imagined space or spot overhead as you begin to feel that fluttering feeling in your eyelids. You know that's a burst of REM and you into a perfect, highly suggestible brainwave state where you can now move towards removing the blocks keeping you from your goal of being productive. On your next exhale, close down your eyelids and just let your eyes go wherever they are most comfortable. You can forget all about your eyes. The fluttering feeling is the first sign that you're responding, and that is perfect. Just allow a drifting, floating feeling, relaxing feeling to develop in your body. You should be in a relaxed state, open and aware of your surroundings, but with your conscious mind in a temporary state of lowered awareness as you communicate directly with your subconscious mind and ask for its help in creating positive momentum towards your goal of stopping this procrastination. And as you just let your chin drop down just a little bit, so you get that looking down feeling you have when looking over a balcony or at the top of a flight of stairs. As you picture yourself at the top of a staircase with just 10 steps, you feel the muscles and nerves in and around your eyes are becoming heavy, droopy, drowsy. Your eyelids are starting to feel as if they've been glued shut, sealed shut, locked tight. And now you are moving on to step 10 as each muscle, each nerve turns loose, lets loose, and you go deeper. You're taking step 9 and you can see your feet. You can hear your feet, even feel your feet, making contact with every step as you go deeper, drift deeper, sink deeper. You're taking step 8, going deeper, deeper into an awareness of yourself. You're taking step 7, drifting way down deeper. You're taking step 6, and you're drifting deeper with every sound you hear, every sound and noise and movement around you. It's carrying you deeper, further into your subconscious mind. You're taking step 5, and you're halfway down. And with every step, you go 10 times, 100 times deeper. You take step 4 as every muscle, every nerve turns loose, lets loose, and you go deeper. You're taking step 3. Just go deeper, drift deeper, sink deeper. And you're taking step 2 as you go deeper and deeper into an awareness of yourself. You're taking step 1 and just sleep deeply. And of course, you're not going to sleep. You're in a highly suggestible state, which is simply a sleep of the nervous system. You're going deeper, drifting deeper, sinking deeper. So you just go deeper and deeper and even deeper still. And every time I say the words sleep deeply and click my fingers, you're becoming more and more and more relaxed. You hear that clicking? Go deeper, drift deeper, sink deeper. And as you go deeper into an absolutely relaxed state, you're responding easily, effortlessly, perfectly, exactly the way you are. You don't need to make anything happen. You can just let it happen. Today, you're here to overcome procrastination. And as you go deeper, you know that understanding is power. And understanding in hypnosis is the most powerful, the most liberating, the most freeing, the most extraordinary power. Now, your beliefs are yours to change, and you are changing them right now in the most wonderful, beneficial, and supportive way. You are now upgrading, installing new beliefs. The mind responds to what you want, and what you want is to work daily towards your goals without procrastinating, without hesitating. The fact that you are here today shows me that your intuition knows that you are ready to start being productive again because you are confident now everything is available to you. You are highly motivated and in control, and with your phenomenal coping skills and your ability to handle all situations skillfully, you easily achieve your goals. You link images of huge, phenomenal, enormous pleasure and success to completing projects, to reaching your goals. Knowing that while you're doing this, your brilliant mind is moving you towards pleasure because that is its job. You have decided to do this for yourself. You have a feeling of unwavering, unshakable conviction and certainty that you can do this. You constantly think, see, and believe in your mind's ability to make this work. It is already working right now. You have the confidence, the motivation, and the power to complete any project you begin. You're motivated to keep going. You know intuitively this is the right time to move. Everything is aligned for success, and you have the self-confidence, the self-assuredness, just the most amazing, phenomenal coping skills and belief that you are able to handle all situations skillfully because you have the desire to succeed and you are in control of your own destiny. Because everything is available to you, you just go for it. You start immediately. You wake up early feeling refreshed and ready to start your day because you made your plan before. So you already know where you're going. You have your blueprint ready for the day, so you are ready to move forward. And you know now is the right time, and you move forward without hesitating. You have a strong desire to take action just as soon as possible. You take immediate action and you do so with massive amounts of self-confidence and motivation. You do this with the complete self-assuredness, with complete self-confidence. You have the desire, the motivation to move forward. It soon becomes just such a powerful, all-pervasive part of you that you are becoming excited to get started immediately. This self-confidence overrides any old negative thoughts and patterns that keep you in a state of procrastination, because now is the right time, and because you know that this both intuitively and intellectually, your desire to move forward and complete everything you want is so strong. You are consistently and immediately motivated to act, to launch your projects, to move forward with ease and confidence. You're becoming more and more motivated to act, and you have this personal drive and focus to consistently move forward with any project. You notice immediately that you have a burning desire to act from this day forward, and you love this recording. You play it all the time because it had such a powerful, healing, wonderful effect on you. You make the time, you take the time to listen to it because its effects are so noticeable. The more you play the recording, the better you feel. The better you feel, the more you play it. And the more productive you are. As my voice goes with you, it has the most powerful, the most profound, the most permanent, the most healing effect on you. So now, keeping the words you've just heard with you as I count you back to full awareness, by count you up to 5. On the count of 1, notice the feeling coming back into your hands and feet. On the count of 2, you become aware of the room and the sounds around you just a little bit more, allowing them in. And the counts of 3 and 4, taking deep breath in and letting out at your own pace. And then I count of 5. If you haven't already, open your eyes, feeling amazing, feeling free. As you fill up your lungs again with one last deep breath, come back to full and complete awareness. Welcome. Hello. Right, I have any. Going to give you a moment to come back, just to breathe. And while you're at that, I'm going to remind you that if you want to do a clearing your block session with me, 20 to 30 minutes touch base, go to calendarly.com/userm, and I will put the link somewhere in this video as well and in the description. So again, that is free. Do that anytime. And one more reminder is that for my normal sessions, I normally charge $400 for an RTT session, including all the aftercare. But again, for the year of 2023, I'm actually offering them at half price because we all survived COVID, so we deserve it. And everything I can do to get people back on track as soon as possible, that's what I'm going to offer. So that's my gift to you. And not only that, because you are here doing this webinar, well, I'm going to give you an additional bonus of $50 off. But you do have to book. You cannot book through heal.me or through the website. You do actually need to email info@clearingyourblocks.com and figure out the timing, or you can set up an appointment, but you can't finish the booking without payment ahead of time. But if you want the discounted link, you need to request the discounted link, and we can set up a time through email and book that for you. Be happy to do that. So I mean, that's the whole $150 only, which is a lot of money off. It includes intake call. That's in addition to the clearing your blocks call, which is a separate almost like a strategy call that we do. Intake is after you've answered all the questions of intake, we'll go through and we will make a plan so I can do all the pre-work to ensure that you have the most appropriately customized transformational recording possible. And I will add, as we do in the session, we go through the scenes and everything that comes up in a session, I add it to it. But I need to have some sort of base things that, words that you need to hear, like things like that. That like I phrases that use, everyone has slightly different vernacular. And how I phrase something is possibly not how you phrase something. I need to use your vocabulary in order for it to be that much more impactful. So everything I can do to make it tailored to you is going to help it stick. And also make you want to listen to it, because you don't have to think about, like, I would never use that phrase every time you listen to a recording, which is one of the reasons why I touch base with you, is say, okay, is it okay? Is there anything that we need to tweak? Generally not, even if there's something going on or noise in the background, because you have that connection in session. Generally, it's best to keep that recording from the session unless there was like a major tech issue where it had to be recorded. Generally not. And I do add nice little background music just because I like to have a little bit intro time of music at the beginning and at the end. And I just find that it's a little more helpful to get into the whole self-hypnosis meditative state where it's going to be more useful. So, and again, remember to go over to clearingyourblocks.com/books. So 3 things, if you haven't done it already, they're already there. We have chapter 1, in case you missed it. We have the recording I did that I posted on YouTube. It's also there. So everything's in one place, no excuses. And then the portion on chapter 2, part 1 that we reviewed today is also posted there. Next thing I'm going to be doing, actually, as soon as I'm off of this call, is I'm going to be posting the Future Shock exercise up there if you need a little kick in the butt. So that's what I call it. Future Shock is kind of my kick in the butt. If someone's waffling, I make them go do the Future Shock exercise, because it's kind of painful. Well, not hurtful, but it's almost like a constructive criticism. Just a are you sure you're ready type of thing. Some people, they just need that additional, just a little help, especially as procrastinators. May need a little bit of a hand up. A little bit more help to get out of that rut, and that's what the Future Shock exercise is. So I'll get that up as soon as I can, once I walk sassy and put everyone to bed and all that good little stuff. I gotta check on my lizard. I do have a bearded dragon. So all 3 of my animals are special adoptions. So life is always interesting around this household. But my beardy, he has to be hand fed because he's a difficult child. But I let it go for a while because he was a teenager, but he's adult, and he has to be hand fed. He's a baby. He spent so much time at the vet when he was little. They actually wanted to euthanize him. And I'm like, no, we're not going to euthanize. We're not going to kill a baby beardy. No. So I actually ended up taking him home because we're going to move him for the 5th time that day. And I'm like, no. I'm like, I cannot move this poor kid. He's getting neurotic. He's just like, I can't move me again. So I ended up taking him home. Actually, 3 days after I adopted Chiquita the cat, who had been in her 5th home that we know of, because her original parents that had adopted her moved and actually gave her up, surrendered her at Peggy Adams in West Palm. And so then she was adopted out and returned. So this, whoever adopted her, so whoever she was born, she went to another home, brought into the shelter. She was adopted for about 3 months and returned. Adopted out again, returned. And of course, by this point in time, she's not even a year and a half old. So she's, the neurotic foster child. This is why foster children get neurotic, because they don't have any grounding. They don't have any trust. They don't have any belief that anyone they can't trust anything or anyone. So, and this happens even, even in animals. And so that was Chiquita. She was like so neurotic, or she basically, I mean, she didn't totally hate me. I ended up canceling my vacation because she was having issues. We we're going to actually move her again to a different habitat. And I'm like, you know what? I'll just bring her home. She'll be fine. I knew she'd be fine. I had Sassy, who was not sassy when I adopted her, but she picked the name and, oh, trust me, she's sassy. But she was actually 8 years old. Also got her from Peggy Adams again. And sadly, they have a beautiful campus. So sadly, it has to be that large of a campus for that many surrender animals. But at least it is no kill shelter. So, and they work with a lot like so Sassy actually came from animal control, Palm Beach County Animal Control. She was brought in for euthanasia, which I don't know why. I mean, she had ear infection, she has chronic dry skin, but that's like little leave-in conditioner fixes that. She has Marchese, so she has floppy ears like a Cocker Spaniel, basically, which we live in Florida with the humidity during the summer means that it's really hard to make sure she doesn't get ear infections. It's just, it is what it is. So it's not a problem. Treat it every summer. It's fine every winter. So there's nothing wrong with her. I mean, although she did not really walk on the leash, didn't know concept of traffic. So I'm not sure where she came from, like way out in the country somewhere. Uh, never ever been in like the city situation. So that was a bit of a challenge. But I mean, we figured it out. It took us a few months, but we figured it out. And now she's like the most social dog. I take her to Kawasutra. We just were in there, grabbed some tea. From our session, a little kratom tea. I wasn't doing all this editing afterwards. I'd be there, having a shell, but tomorrow it's another day. And yeah, she's loved. She hangs out. And she's a perfect dog. But I knew like her and Chiquita, they just had to have the right home. And so then the bearded dragon, actually Chiquita and him, they play their little game. And as long as everyone's on separate sides of the habitat, it's fine. I let them out when I'm doing my exercising. I have a TV on the lanai, so I will do my Centrics, watch the Centric show and do stretching outside, and let Nico hang out on the sofa, and he's his own pillow he likes to sit on. But occasionally I can't let him and Chiquita all at the same time because she's like, oh, I want to play with this tail. I'm like, okay, you can do that when he's in the habitat, not when he's out of the habitat, you know. So it's that's a little bit about me, about my crazy life, what's going on. I always like to share, and you guys want to share with me. Certainly follow me on Twitter, Facebook. Again, I'll have everything posted here at the end. I will have all my social posted somewhere, somewhere around here at some point. But for tonight, all I have to say is, with love and blessings for me to you. God bless. And see you next week.